and gentlemen, welcome to One Saturday Morning. I am Darrell Dukes. Kicking off this one Saturday morning is our continuing coverage of the terror attack that happened in London a few days ago. As we know now, 4 people are dead, including the attacker. Another 40 are injured. However, let's start from the beginning on what we originally knew at the time, courtesy of CBS News. Take a look.
In the area of Parliament Square, and the senior national coordinator has declared this a terrorist incident. And although we remain open-minded to the motive, a full counter-terrorism investigation is already underway. This is led by the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command. At this stage, I will confirm what we know has happened, but I will not speculate. We received a number of different reports, which included a person in the river, a car in collision with pedestrians, and a man armed with a knife. Officers were already in that location as part of routine policing, but immediately additional officers were sent to the scene, and that included firearms officers. We are working closely with the London Ambulance Service and the London Fire Brigade. I'd like to repeat our request for the public to avoid the following areas: Parliament Square, Whitehall, Westminster Bridge, Lambeth Bridge, Victoria Street up to the junction with Broadway, and the Victoria Embankment up to Embankment Tube Station. This is to allow emergency services to deal with this ongoing incident. There is an ongoing investigation being led by the Counter-Terrorism Command, and we would ask anybody who has images or film of the incident to pass those to the police. We know there are a number of casualties, including police officers, but at this stage we cannot confirm numbers or the nature of these injuries. Our response will be ongoing for some time, and it is important that we gather all possible information and evidence. Public safety is our top priority, and we are reviewing our policing stance across London and throughout the capital this afternoon. There will be additional officers on duty and deployed across the capital. I would like the public to remain vigilant and let us know if they see anything suspicious that causes them concern, and if they do, to dial 999 immediately. The Acting Commissioner, Craig Mackey, is being treated as a significant witness, as he was at the scene when the incident started. Whilst he is not injured, it would be inappropriate for him to be here to talk about the incident at this stage. Our thoughts and his thoughts are with all of those involved and responding to that incident this evening. I would stress that if anyone has information about today's incident, they are urged to call 0800 789 321. And I would stress, if the public have any information or see anything suspicious, to dial 999 immediately.
At this stage, does the incident seem to be over?
I'm not going to speculate. You'll see the response that we've got here, officers responding. I want to stress that it's our priority to keep London safe. People going home this evening will see additional officers deployed, both armed and unarmed, across London in order to achieve that aim.
Gunshots fired, gunshots fired.
I've told you what information I have, and we will continue to keep you updated as we find things out. I'm not prepared to speculate. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to thank you very much for your time here this evening. I would absolutely stress to the public, our #1 priority working with our partners is to keep London safe. If people have information, please dial the number 0800 789 321. But most importantly, if people see anything suspicious, dial 999 if they think it's an emergency. Thank you very much.
Now, after this initial statement was released from the London Metro Police, the White House basically condemned the attack, which again London Police was having this under a terrorist attack. So here's the statement from White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer.
First at the top, I wanted to note that the President has been briefed on the situation in London. He just spoke to Prime Minister May, and we'll have a readout on that situation and that call soon. We obviously condemn today's attack in Westminster, which the United Kingdom is treating as an act of terrorism. And we applaud the quick response that the British police and their first responders made to the situation. The victims in this are in our thoughts and our prayers. The City of London and Her Majesty's government have the full support of the U.S. government in responding to the attack and bringing those to justice who are responsible. We will provide you with further updates as warranted, and as I mentioned, a readout of the President's call with the Prime Minister.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Now, immediately after the initial attack was perpetrated or originated, NBC News got a witness to speak live to with Lester Holt, giving the detail of what's going on. So let's take a look from that.
Camilla Tominey may be familiar to our viewers as someone who we rely on for information about the Royals. But Camilla, I understand you were a witness to some of the activity. Can you tell us where you are and what you've seen?
Hi, Lester. Yes, so earlier today I was in Portcullis House, which is the very modern addition to the traditional Houses of Parliament that your viewers will be familiar with, the building. And basically it's annexed by a corridor called Cloisters, which is outside, and people walk to it to get to the main chamber where we see the Prime Minister give PMQs. In fact, he said earlier today. That's where this incident has taken place. So I was in this modern building next door. We heard some gunshots. We then heard an absolute commotion, people being forced up the escalator, having to run. Police then crowded into this main atrium. It's where everyone in Westminster has coffee and meets contacts. The call went out for us all to run, run, run. We then ran to the back of the building and could hear an almighty commotion outside. Obviously, an instant and immediate police presence, both through the glass doors at the end, because we can see out onto Westminster Bridge, and also seemingly something going on down past the escalators, which are incidentally past Westminster Station. And obviously, having now been in a lockdown situation, we're trying to get information in as you are, but the understanding is that there has, of course, been this incident on Westminster Bridge very close. I've just walked throughout some buildings because the police have been ushering us to get further and further into safety and away from where the incident happened, and seen an enormous police presence on the bridge. Iconic London red buses obviously stopped in their tracks. There's an air ambulance on the green here, we understand, attending to this police officer who's allegedly been stabbed. And obviously the entire precinct of these buildings is now on lockdown.
Were you able, you indicated that you were aware of something happening at the bridge. Was anyone able to see out the window and see exactly what was taking place?
Not from where I was, because we were at the back of the building, but because the building that I'm in is an atrium and made of glass, it's got huge glass doors. It's the main entrance where visitors come if they want to come to the Houses of Parliament. And from there we could clearly see suddenly a major police presence. Usually there's cars driving past, there's tourists, almost within minutes really of the gunshots being heard and people being told to run, the entire area then became in lockdown. So we're really hearing secondhand about incidents on the bridge, although we can very easily see that there has been a complete lockdown of that area. We know that the station's been closed, and we know from just being in Westminster, everyone's been told to move away from where the incident happened. People have been told to go to the safety of their offices. At the moment, I've basically been moved east into a building that we've just been assured by a police spokesman here who's announced to the gathered and rather worried crowd that we're all safe here and that the building's surrounded. But getting the impression at the moment that, having thought the incident was over, that perhaps there is an ongoing element to it.
In other news, Sears Holding, the parent company of both Sears and Kmart, are basically on the verge of bankruptcy. To give you some quick facts, so far this year alone, Sears has lost $10 billion, and they are also $4.2 billion in debt. So here's a report as it aired on CBS this morning, giving you the information that you need to know regarding this potential bankruptcy to one of the nation's largest retailers. Take a look.
Now an update on a story we told you about yesterday, the growing financial troubles of the company behind Sears department stores. Shares of the company's stock plunged more than 12% yesterday after a stark revelation this week. An SEC filing says, quote, substantial doubt exists related to the company's ability to continue. Sears Holdings is the parent company of the struggling big box retailers Sears and Kmart. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here. Jill, good morning.
Good morning.
These are two iconic brands, but they've actually been in trouble for quite some time. Sears hasn't turned a profit since, 2010?
Yeah, and they've lost about $10 billion since 2010. It really goes back to that initial merger, and we look back and we say, oh my gosh, these two brands, they came together, they were supposed to be stronger together, but they were both struggling in different ways. They've had a terrible time trying to really keep pace with consumer taste. If you go back even to the 90s, Sears was having a problem just competing with Walmart and really didn't respond to how consumers were looking for cheaper prices. Add on that the digital revolution and online shopping, and the company's really stood still, almost been idly watching as others are advancing.
Put together by Eddie Lampert. What responsibility does he bear?
Well, Eddie Lampert was the hedge fund manager who was behind the Kmart revival. He actually took the company out of bankruptcy. He was the mastermind of that merger. And, you know, I think he bears some responsibility because, in fact, he's really been looking at ways to financially improve the company. And maybe in the early years he could do that. But look, he's not a retailer. He is a financial engineer in many respects. He's also a real estate expert. And, of course, there's a real estate portion of this. But the reality is this guy's pumped hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money, of his hedge funds money into this company, and he is looking at stark losses. There are some who say that he is protecting some of his own losses at the expense of broader shareholders. But that said, I think you really have to look at him and say, hey, this is your company.
Jill, the Sears chief financial officer said, quote, Sears Holdings remains focused on executing our transformation plan and will continue to take actions to help ensure our competitiveness and ability to continue to meet our financial obligations. Is there a chance that Sears turns this thing around?
I think there's always a chance. And, you know, I come from an old retail family, so I'd like to root for the iconic brands. That said, this company is struggling under the weight, $4.2 billion of debt. And so even if they were to make some turnaround, they're going to be weighed down by that debt. Most of the analysts that I talked to have said this has been a steady march towards bankruptcy, and they are looking for that event.
Is there still a market for these kinds of stores, Jill?
Well, I think there's a market. It's just that we have to look to retailers to meet us where we want to be seen. Mm-hmm. So I think that Sears and the Kmart combination, the problem is that they really are late to the game. If you think about it, Sears is really the heir to Amazon. It should have been Amazon. It was the first catalog company, had all those eyeballs, should have been first online, and like many other companies before it, should have been the innovator, wasn't the innovator.
They missed the moment. It's so hard to recover, too.
It really is.
And they were well positioned. These are American institutions we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Jill Schlesinger, always good to see you.
Thank you.
And we're going to close out this broadcast on one Saturday morning with this announcement. On our sister site, Falls Count Everywhere, we're going to have the up-to-date WrestleMania WrestleMania and Ring of Honor coverage, rather, that you can see nowhere else. We're going to have a lot of pictures, we're going to have a lot of videos, and hopefully you probably get some interviews as well. So we're going to put the Falls Count Everywhere search on our Facebook page and here on YouTube as well. And to make sure you guys can go on there, look for the best wrestling coverage you could possibly find. Again, you go search Falls Count Everywhere on Facebook. That is our sister site. Myself and my co-host there, Rhett West, also referred to as the Nerdy One, are going to provide you the best wrestling content coverage there is. Since next weekend is a big weekend for us. It says WrestleMania is coming this weekend, next weekend, and also the day before on April 1st, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor as well. So we'll also share them over here on the News Now Nation, and possibly, I don't know for sure yet, we'll possibly work on like a little documentary documenting our big weekend, so to speak. So that's also coming up. Just want to give you guys a heads up. But on that note, this has been a special edition of One Saturday Morning. I am Derek Dukes, and until we meet again, friends, stay gold.